McNerney, Jimmy Kimmel's wife and head writer, went public on this topic recently, so I feel it's fair to comment respectfully in public. She says she's lost relationships with relatives because she wrote them an email before the election with 10 reasons why they shouldn't vote for Trump, and some still didn't obey. So, 10 reasons. I can think of 100. But I would never present it to someone as an ultimatum. Ultimatums don't make people rethink their politics, they make them rethink you.
Maher's had enough of the left's relentless attacks on Trump, and now he's firing back. He argues their outrage is often overblown, unnecessary, and that they'd be better off addressing their own shortcomings instead of obsessing over Trump. That Maher's response lands with precision, sharp, witty, and impossible to ignore. Let's dive in.
Happy Thanksgiving. I can't believe that even that now is a political issue. It is a real shame what's happened to this holiday, which used to be all about the good F's: food, friends, family, football, fun. And now it's you. You're not even invited because you voted for the wrong person. I'm so tired of liberals ghosting half this country. Conservatives do it too, but not nearly as much. Look, whoever's doing it, it's got to stop, because we're at a point now where politics has broken up more families than letting your wife see your phone.
Maher is absolutely right. Politics has fractured the country in ways that feel deeper and more pronounced than ever. America is more divided today, and a big part of that comes from the left's growing refusal to engage with anyone who doesn't fit neatly into their worldview. Instead of fostering open dialogue, the default response is often to dismiss, shame, or silence opposing voices. That unwillingness to engage with different perspectives has only widened cultural and political gaps. And until that mindset changes, the divide won't just persist, it will continue to worsen.
Now, on the liberal side, there's two camps now. The we need to keep talking to people wing and the go no contact wing. That's what they call it now, go no contact. This belief that Trump voters, even if it's your own parents, are too deplorable for human contact and must be cut off. Like Scientologists do to suppressive people. A former speechwriter for Obama named David Litt wrote an op-ed this year called, "Is it time to stop snubbing your right-wing family?" where he admitted he'd had a change of heart and that was the wrong approach. So, of course, then the woke wing tried to banish him for breaking ranks on their policy of hating people who don't agree with you on everything, because what fun is life if you're not cutting somebody off?
It's genuinely unfortunate. Politics, at its best, is meant to be an exchange of ideas, a space where people can disagree, debate, and still treat each other with respect when the discussion is over. But that spirit is disappearing. Increasingly, the left has embraced a kind of ideological intolerance, especially among those who cut off friends and family simply because they voted Republican. When political identity becomes grounds for social exile, it's no longer about ideas. It becomes rigid, punitive, and hostile. This instinct to sever ties doesn't make society stronger. It splinters it, creating wounds that are difficult to heal and divisions that linger far beyond election season.
Mr. Litt asked the question, what has all this banishing accomplished? Oh, I know. A second helping of MAGA, that's what. Molly McNerney, Jimmy Kimmel's wife and head writer, went public on this topic recently, so I feel it's fair to comment respectfully in public. She says she's lost relationships with relatives because she wrote them an email before the election with 10 reasons why they shouldn't vote for Trump, and some still didn't obey. So, 10 reasons. I can think of 100. But I would never present it to someone as an ultimatum. Ultimatums don't make people rethink their politics, they make them rethink you.
Let's be real. Nobody who's firmly committed to voting for Trump is suddenly going to renounce that decision because they received a long, emotional essay telling them they're wrong. People don't overhaul their political convictions because of a lecture delivered to their inbox. That's why Molly's strategy fell flat. It wasn't persuasive, it was intrusive. Instead of building a bridge, it reinforced the very divide she claimed to be worried about. Rather than inviting dialogue, her message shoved people deeper into their own camps. In fact, her email perfectly illustrates why political conversations feel so volatile today. Too many people are trying to correct others instead of trying to understand them.
Somewhere along the way, my values became code for I'm the only one with a moral compass. You know what would have been a better exercise? Write a top 10 list to yourself where you try to imagine 10 reasons why 77 million Americans didn't want to trust you with taking power. And I say that as someone who votes Democratic. As I like to remind my very pure friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
A big part of the DNC's problem is that many Democrats have contributed to the perception that the party is unappealing, even toxic. There's a widespread attitude of intellectual and moral superiority, a belief that their worldview is inherently more enlightened than everyone else's. Anyone who pushes back or doesn't fall in line with that ideology is quickly dismissed as ignorant, backward, or morally flawed. That doesn't create dialogue. It shuts it down. It doesn't invite people in. It pushes them out. Instead of building bridges or cultivating understanding, this elitist posture widens the divide. And for many voters, that translates into frustration, disillusionment, and a complete unwillingness to engage with the party at all.
Can we please try to remember, especially at this time of year, that most people don't decide their politics. They inherit them. It's about where you grew up in America, what your parents taught you, your life experiences, your religion. Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia was here recently, and I was amazed by the number of people who reached out after the show to say, wow, I kind of like her. Yeah, that's been my line for a while. Everyone's a monster till you talk to them.
Exactly. A huge part of our political identity comes from where we grew up, the communities that shaped us, and the values we absorbed along the way. But beneath all of that, we're human beings first, with hopes, fears, flaws, and complexities that no single political label can define. Reducing someone to a ballot choice completely overlooks that deeper humanity. Instead of jumping to conclusions or dismissing people based on their vote, it's worth taking the time to actually understand who they are and what shaped their perspective. Real conversation, empathy, and genuine curiosity reveal far more than party affiliation ever will. Politics may draw lines between us, but our shared humanity still has the power to bridge them.
On our overtime segment that night, someone asked about the alien spaceship. Maybe you've been reading about it, the 3-1 Atlas comet that's headed to Earth and will arrive on December 19th to wipe out all life as we know it. It's a joke, don't worry. And when I quoted people in our own Defense Department who had said, well, hold on, what you think might be aliens actually could be fallen angels or demons. Marjorie agreed, saying, absolutely. She said, I'm a Christian conservative, angels and demons, that's what we believe. Okay, I think that But you know what? So is this a girl or a boy? I can't tell by its
I respect Maher because he refuses to sugarcoat the extremes on either end of the political spectrum. Conservatives certainly produce their share of bizarre and impractical ideas, but liberals aren't exempt from the same brand of irrational thinking. What makes the liberal fringe especially frustrating is the moral superiority that often comes with it. There's this assumption that they possess a monopoly on truth and virtue, that they alone are enlightened, and everyone else must simply fall in line. That self-appointed righteousness isn't just irritating, it's counterproductive. Instead of fostering dialogue, it shuts people out, alienates potential allies, and kills the kind of open debate democracy actually depends on. Maher cuts through that nonsense with humor and precision, calling out hypocrisy wherever it lives. His willingness to challenge both sides forces viewers to think for themselves rather than surrender to tribal loyalty or ideological groupthink. By exposing the absurdities across the spectrum, he pushes audiences toward independent thought, not blind allegiance.
I'm not going to go through wokeism's greatest hits now, but, you know, the safetyism, the open borders, queers for Palestine, whatever this was. I mean, I could go on, really. There's a lot of stuff. The other side has their top 10 list, too, and some of it's pretty hard to argue with. And I know the President of the United States called a woman piggy this week, and you're a better person than me because you hate it more than I do. But I hate it too, really, as well as 1,000 other things about the Trump administration I never stop pointing out on this show. But I'm an adult, and in the real world, there's some people you just can't stop talking to, like your spouse or partner after a bad fight, tempting as that is.
We may never agree on everything, and that's perfectly fine. In a diverse nation, differing views, experiences, and perspectives are natural. What matters most is our ability to come back together, set aside division, and work toward a better America for the generations that follow. Our founding fathers envisioned a country that could grow, adapt, and offer opportunity to all. They knew that progress requires commitment, compromise, and a shared sense of purpose, values that still underpin our nation today. Now, it's our turn to carry that torch. We must apply the same effort, foresight, and responsibility to shaping a future where our children and grandchildren can thrive. That begins with respectful engagement, empathetic listening, and active participation in our communities. By doing this, we don't just preserve what has been built, we strengthen it. We help America continue evolving into a more resilient, fair, and united nation for those who inherit it after us.
Like your of a boss, like your family, and like the President of the United States. This is so childish, so purely emotional. The people who got all butthurt because I had dinner with them, you know, because he's Hitler. Except he's not. So unhelpful and dumb. Trump is the most supportive president Israel and the Jews ever had. You know, every year I used to ask Larry David to do real time, and he'd always say, Bill, I can't. I'm not smart enough about politics to do your show. Yeah, I get that now.
Left-leaning media outlets often push audiences to view politics through a single, predetermined lens. Stories are filtered, framed, and emphasized in ways that reinforce the preferred narrative, frequently casting figures like Trump as authoritarian, fascist, or desperate, regardless of nuance. Over time, this kind of selective storytelling shapes public perception, making it easy for viewers to accept a simplified and exaggerated version of reality. It's not exactly shocking when someone like Larry David adopts that same viewpoint. He's operating within the narrative he and his audience are continually fed. Maher's take on David hits the mark. He understands how media framing can influence opinions, even among high-profile figures known for wit and social critique. By highlighting this, Maher reminds us that not all criticism is grounded in objectivity. Narratives can be engineered to serve ideological purposes, and audiences often absorb them without question. In an era dominated by polarization and partisanship, critical thinking isn't optional, it's necessary.
Because there is no argument here. There's just the sugar rush that the no-contact people get from never coming in second in a I hate Trump the most contest. Really? That's your strategy, to go full high school and tell the guy with all the power he can't sit with you at the lunch table? To borrow a phrase familiar to HBO viewers, you are not serious people. I mean, what exactly is the argument? That by talking to Trump, I'll elevate him? Oh my God, don't tell me he could become president. Well, I guess Mamdani is going to elevate Trump because he went to the White House today, and look who's getting along now.
Mamdani's recent trip to the White House stunned just about everyone. But what really turned heads was the unexpected rapport he shared with Trump. Given their history of public clashes, complete with fiery exchanges and deeply entrenched ideological differences, most anticipated a tense encounter, if not outright hostility. Instead, something rare happened. For a brief moment, both figures put their disagreements on pause and focused on a shared mission, improving life for New Yorkers and strengthening the city for everyone who calls it home. The temporary truce wasn't just surprising, it was meaningful. It showed that even leaders with radically different worldviews can find common ground when they choose progress over posturing. It also underscores a powerful truth. Political cooperation isn't impossible. It's simply uncommon because ego and partisanship usually get in the way. If more of us approach conflict with the same willingness to listen, compromise, and collaborate, we'd see real progress instead of endless gridlock. That moment at the White House reminds us that constructive dialogue is still possible, and that pursuing the common good should always outweigh the impulse to score political points. It's an example worth paying attention to, and one worth replicating. We're wrapping up today's video. If you enjoyed the breakdown, Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.